Good morning. It is Monday, which means it's the first day of the read-eh-thon, and the weather is terrible, so I'm getting a later start to the day than usual because I'm affected by the weather. This read-a-thon is going to be a little bit weird for me because I have a bunch of books I would like to read, but I don't really have a set TBR. I just have all of these Canadian books that I'm like, that seems interesting, but there's like 12 of them, and I'm not going to push myself to read that much, so it's going to be an adventure. We're going to find out together what I'm going to read, but first I'm going to make some toast because I need food while my phone charges because that's where the majority of the books are, and then I'll decide what to start reading first. Flipped a coin to figure out if I was going to take my audiobook for a walk or if I was just going to chill in the library and read a book that is not an audiobook, and it came back with the caribou side up, which means that I'm going to stay in the library and read for a while. So I got through the introduction of So They Call Me George, and I think it's going to be a very interesting and important read because it will talk about some of the racism in Canada that my country likes to pretend never happened, so I'm looking forward to that because it's really hard to find the information sometimes. But my hip also started bothering me, which means that I should go for that walk, and I've just walked outside and it is slightly raining. It's the type of rain where you can't even see it till you're in it, so it's like misting. So I'm gonna try to go for a walk for the next 35 minutes because that's how much that loop takes, and I'm going to listen to We Have Always Been Here, which is another book that has been on my list for forever, so I'm just excited this read-a-thon came along. I'm just hoping that it doesn't all-out downpour while I'm on this walk. Also, if it's not raining so much, I will try to show you some of the beautiful scenery. It's Tuesday. I just got out of bed. I didn't update you very much yesterday, and I apologize, but I did show you a bunch of really pretty flowers and stuff, so there you are. I did not read a ton yesterday. I did keep reading. I even read during Quarantine Pages, which is me and my friends getting together and reading silently for an hour and then talking about our books, which means I've gotten about 3 chapters into They Call Us George. The thing about it is incredibly dense because some of it is directly quoting historical documents, which takes me longer to read, so I'm still very interested in it because I'm finally learning some Canadian history, which we were just not taught a lot. And what we were taught was very glazed over, very white. So I'm definitely still working on that. That's going to take me a little bit of time. I'm at least halfway through We Have Always Been Here. And I want you to read this for yourself. And I'm trying really hard not to tell you exactly what part I'm at because it's something that I wouldn't wish on anyone. But it is an immigration story from Pakistan to Canada, and that's why it's on this reading list. And wow, just read it. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what happened in her life. You're going to have to read it. It's a little bit too warm for this, but I'm going for a morning walk anyway. I'm going to be so sweaty by the end of it. I already look great because sunscreen protect your skin. But yeah, I need the exercise, so we're doing this. not super often these days that I leave the house twice in a day, but here we are. Me and my roommates have been doing this thing where we put on U-brew versions of wine, so you get 30 bottles of wine for way cheaper than usual because you go in, you start the brew, and then you have to bottle it when it's done and that type of thing. So I'm about to go to the winery and start a batch that'll be ready in like 6 or 8 weeks, something like that. But when you do it this way, it's like between $5 and $6 for a bottle of wine, which makes it really worth it. Just airing out this car a little bit first because it is hot out and there's no air conditioning. Good morning, it's Wednesday. This morning I'm actually interviewing a debut novelist, so I'll be doing that in about an hour and a half, so I'm going to get some food first and some coffee, because that's very important. And I of course will have that interview linked down below. It's with George Lester, and his debut novel is Boy Queen, and I absolutely adored it. If you're a fan of Drag Race, if you're a fan of drag, you should read it. This is going to be one of my least talky vlogs, and I'm kind of okay with that. I started Anne of Green Gables in the tub, as you saw, and yeah, we got to racism before we even got to meet Anne, which I kind of expected, but it was real quick. It's also interesting because obviously this book was written in, I think, 1902, or published that year at least. So like I was expecting it, obviously, but it's interesting because I am reading that other book that overlaps with this time frame, and she arrives by train and all of that stuff, so it's interesting. I haven't read it since I was a kid, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it because I'm hoping there's not going to be any more stuff that makes me very upset, but I'm sure that here and there I'm gonna be like, ugh, I hate this, but overall I think I'm gonna like it again for what it is. It's Thursday. I woke up this morning and had to change from my warm weather pajamas to my cold weather pajamas because today is disgusting, which means that it's a good day to have poutine for breakfast. Preheating for a little bit, I will tell you some of the history of poutine. So it is a classically Canadian food that comes from about the 1950s. There's a little bit of contention as to who came up with the idea first, but we do know it happened in rural Quebec. There's like 4 different places that are like, we started it, but I don't really care. So originally poutine was just 50% fries and 50% cheese curds, and later somebody added gravy to that. Again, complicated history. Also, you can make really basic poutine, which is pretty much what I'm doing, or you can do other things and add extra things to it like bacon or chicken or whatever you really want to eat as your comfort food, because this is a lovely comfort food. The way that I make my poutine is a bag of fries. I love crinkle cut fries, so that's what I use. I then use some vegan cheese because I'm allergic to actual cheese and I try to eat vegan as much as possible. Not gonna lie though, if it's a baked good and I have plausible deniability as to whether or not there's eggs in it, I'm still eating it. And then your gravy of choice. I chose a mushroom gravy because, you know, it doesn't have dairy in it and it doesn't have meat in it, which I also don't eat. Oh, I also learned that poutine is Quebecois slang for a mess, and I love that. So I'm a terrible cook, and usually I just put them all on one baking tray, but it takes longer for them to cook because they're crowded together, so I'm gonna try using 2 baking trays because I'm hungry and I want it now. That's in the oven. I need to turn it over and then I'll start doing the other stuff after about 10 minutes. So white people tried to use the weather in Canada to keep people of color out of Canada. Like, you're not going to do well here because, like, only people that are white do well in this weather. And I'm just like, bitch, our weather changes every 5 minutes. What the hell, white people? This feels like the appropriate oven glove to be using. Gravy, which is super not fancy. It's a package of gravy. You put in a cup of water, you put in the gravy pack, you mix it until it's boiling, you let it simmer for a couple of minutes. Easy. Gravy has started to boil, so I turned it down to a simmer. We got a couple more minutes until the fries come out. Gonna be good breakfast. I also made coffee while the oven was preheating, but I've done that in so many videos that I'm pretty sure you didn't need to watch it. Part of me actually wonders if I did it in this video earlier in the week. Who knows? Shocked to find out that the original recipe was half fries and half cheese curds, because I'm pretty sure I use way less cheese than that. But now I feel justified in using just as much cheese as I want. Tuck in and read a little bit more of So They Call Me George. As an editorial in the Toronto Star in February of 1955, immigration policy in Canada has been called white supremacy. I'm learning all the things. So I found out recently that Quarantine Pages, the daily reading group I attend on the internet, is ending at the end of the month, and I thought to myself that I'd like to do something to continue this daily reading thing, although I don't want to do it every day personally myself. So what I've decided is I think I'm going to start something called Friday Reads Live, which at 10 o'clock on Fridays I live stream reading and hopefully have guests. So we'll start the live stream, we'll talk about what we'll be reading, we'll read for like an hour, and then we'll come back and tell everybody what we read and discuss it a little bit before signing off for the day. I'm really excited about this idea. I'm going to try to set it up. I'm going to see if I can get anybody for tomorrow because it's such short notice. Traffic here is so rude. But I think that this could be a lot of fun. It's Thursday night, which means in this house, we're watching Canada's Drag Race. Good morning, it's Friday, and I think it's past time I give you a reading update. I think by this point you've realized that I've finished We Have Always Been Here because I moved on to another audiobook, which is Washington Black, although I haven't gotten very far in that one because I haven't been listening because I haven't really left the house in a couple of days. I'm about 40 pages from the end of They Call Me George, which is very good but very, very dense, so it took me a very long time to get a groove with that one just because it is so heavy and academic and all that type of thing. And then you would have seen that in the bath I started Anne of Green Gables, which I am a little bit less than halfway through. Really very much enjoying it. I already mentioned that there was a racist bit at the beginning, Hasn't been any since, so let's see how that goes. This morning I'm starting my very first Friday Reads Live, where myself and a few guests will read for a silent hour, live streaming on YouTube, and then talk about what we've read. This is taking after Quarantine Pages, which is my friends getting together on Zoom and doing the same thing, except for I don't have the ability to host big things on Zoom, so I figure why not just do it on YouTube? I already know how to do that. So I'm excited for this. I'm excited to get people from all over the world to come onto my channel and just read. I really like doing the 4-hour live stream that I did for a read-a-thon recently, and figured that this is another way to do that, but on a weekly basis and with some friends. I guess the biggest thing about Anne of Green Gables is I totally forgot how imaginative and like over the top Anne Shirley is. Like, if I had to deal with this child in real life, I would be exhausted all the time, but also she does have a charm to her, so I like her, but oh my goodness, I am way too introverted to hang out with her all the time. I'm drinking wine because my ovaries demand it. Periods are terrible. But I really want to finish this book, but I'm thinking, should I finish the last 30 pages? Should I find something cute on Netflix and possibly Canadian to watch? One and then the other, maybe? I don't know. I just have one chapter left and then the conclusion, but I've had enough of this that I'm like, should I just wait until tomorrow? Should I do it now? I decided to split the difference. So I read the last chapter, but I've left the conclusion for tomorrow, and now I'm gonna find something to watch on Netflix. This last chapter, however, had a lot to do with people performing in blackface, which just makes me think of earlier when we were watching a rerun of Jeopardy. And I found out that Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for a freaking Oscar in the movie where he was in blackface. And that was only 12 years ago. People have been asking you to stop doing blackface for decades. Why did that happen, and why did it get an Oscar nomination? So I have this thing where when I go home to my parents' house and they actually have cable, because I haven't had cable in a very long time where I live, I always end up watching the Food Network. So I think that the Canadian thing that I'm going to watch is the Great Canadian Baking Show, because that sounds delightful. Before we even really get into it, I'm grabbing ice cream because I don't have any baked goods to eat, but I know I'm gonna want something that tastes good. Good morning, it's Saturday and I finally finished They Call Me George, which is the book I've been working on all week. I enjoyed learning the content in it, but I felt that the book itself could have been structured better. And yeah, so it's a valuable book to read. It's interesting that it seems to be through the lens of porters in Canada, but also large sections of it deviate from that, and it doesn't really tie in very well. So although I'm very grateful to finally find a book to give me this information, it could have been structured a little bit better before it gets too hot or it starts raining again, because either one of those things could happen. I think I'm going to go for a walk also before like a bunch of people get outside and make it so I don't want to be there, because BC used to be doing very, very well at keeping COVID numbers down, and now we found out that we're doing terribly. So stay home, people, like we're still in a pandemic. About 50 pages of Anne of Green Gables left, and I think I'm gonna read it in the car. I went for a drive just for, you know, change of scenery, but didn't like go anywhere besides through a drive-through, and we were both wearing masks and all of those things. So I think I'm gonna just sit in the driveway and finish this book, because I just need a change of scenery. I was in here so long that the sun set, but I finished. I definitely didn't remember the ending from when I read it 20 years ago. So I managed 3 books for this read-a-thon. Not my usual, but I'm pretty okay with it. Good evening, it's Sunday. Sundays are weird because I've already talked to my camera today, but that was for a completely different video. It was for my weekly wrap-up, so I feel like I've already wrapped everything up. just makes sense. Today I listened to a little bit of Washington Black, but I didn't get very far. Mostly just started watching a new TV show after doing grocery shopping and uploading my video and all of those types of things. I actually just started a book I'm buddy reading with Jean, and I'm very excited about it because I want to see how some things shake out in this series. And I already filmed an outro today, so let's go to previous Kathy for the outro because might as well use it twice. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you're on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support me, so down below you'll find links to my Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service, as well as my PayPal and my Amazon wishlist in case you want to send me a book. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!